I want to introduce you to a new topic called recipe amnesia.
You probably haven't heard of it because Reeb just made this phrase up, but you've definitely experienced it, and we're gonna give you some tips on how to beat it. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Dylan.
And this is Reeves.
We help you to make your plant-based diet way easier to adhere to. A lot of people make it a little too complicated, which makes it really hard to stick to. And the thing about a plant-based diet and it actually helping you in your life is that you really do need to stick to it for the long run. So we try to give you a lot of tips and tricks and shortcuts on how to make this faster, easier, and less thought requiring. Which leads us to our topic for today, Reeves's recipe amnesia.
It's not just me, it's all of you too.
It's definitely everybody.
Yeah.
If it's happening to us, then it's happening to everybody. We've cooked how many recipes live on the cooking show, how many cookbooks, and we still get recipe amnesia. Want to know what it is?
Recipe amnesia is that thing that happens after you spent a long day making a lot of important decisions, whether it be for work or because you're caretaking for others. Whatever the day may bring, that by the time it comes around to cooking a meal, you can't even remember what food ingredients exist in the world, let alone any recipe you've ever heard of ever.
Now this is not the same as decision fatigue. I feel like this is the result of decision fatigue.
Yeah.
You're fatigued by all the decision making you've got to do throughout the day. What am I going to do today? How am I going to do it? How am I going to answer this? What decisions I'm going to make all day long? And then that leads to you just being completely burned out at the end of the day because you haven't spent all day thinking about food. Contrary to what so many people believe about plant-based eaters like us, it's actually our health that we care most about, not the food. We're very passionate about being healthy, but we don't live, eat, and breathe cuisine all day long. We're not thinking about what our next meal is gonna be. We're not excited to get into the kitchen to cook it. We just wanna eat the right things so that we can experience health. And because we're not super passionate about every single recipe that we make, we can often fall into recipe amnesia.
I was super passionate about it in the beginning, and I got really excited about trying new recipes, but that wears off so fast. After doing this for more than a decade now, food, like you said, is the last thing I worry about. And even worse than that, I'll open the fridge and stare at all our ingredients, can't think of a single thing to make out of them. We keep our quick, easy recipes on the back of our door so we can look at them. One time Dylan challenged me and he said, find a recipe on that door that we can't make because we don't have an ingredient for it. And I couldn't. We had all the ingredients.
I'm glad you bring that up, Reeves, because it's true. All of our meals really do use like one basic list of ingredients. And it wasn't because we went out of our way to do that. It was because those are the things we determined that we like. We like the flavors of, we like the textures, and we just started making recipes using those things because it was easier that way.
Is there a cure for recipe amnesia?
Yes, there's a cure, and the first step is to go down into the description box of this video, click the link, and download this meal rotator that Reeves has put together for you where we describe recipe amnesia, and she's included a whole bunch of recipes and some handy little recipe cards. We'll explain all that, but in the PDF there are like 6 tips, and let's talk about those a little bit now.
The first tip, we kind of touched on this already, but is to figure out your shopping list basics and always have those on hand. We are known for our super fast meals, 10-minute meals, 20 minutes and less meals, with a lot of freezer staples and a lot of pantry staples. So you're gonna wanna always have those in stock, and then figure out your fresh ingredients that you like to rotate. Maybe it's something that you replace in our recipes that you don't like zucchini. You do cauliflower instead. Okay, so you're always gonna wanna buy that when you're at the store. Familiarize yourself with that list, and the more you practice these easy recipes and repeat, you'll get to know what you grab at the store without even needing a shopping list, really.
That's the thing. If you're brand new, you may not know the different plant-based foods that you like. You know, you didn't have a lot of experience with fresh produce in your early years because you didn't eat a healthy diet. Now you know all the things you like. So maybe if you're not ready to like make this your everyday thing, you at least need to start trying some recipes so you can figure out what ingredients do you like and what ingredients do you find you are replacing all the time in recipes. So figure out what you can always get. That's the other thing, is some people are in rural areas where certain items might be harder to get. Here in a big city, we can get whatever we want any season. But if you're not like that, then you've got to figure out what your go-to pantry list is going to be so that you've always got it in stock.
And not only just ingredients that you like, but flavor profiles you like.
And textures too.
Yeah, like do you really like soups? Do you really like Mexican flavor better than Indian flavors?
These are the things you really got to figure out early on if you think you're going to be successful and really stick to this, is you got to know. You got to come to those conclusions as quickly as you can. Download the meal rotator, try those recipes out. That's the best recommendation. Thanks, Reeves.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about tip number 2. First of all, this is a very visual exercise. In order to combat recipe amnesia, you need to visually see your ideas. You need to have a place where you can put essentially your recipe cards. There's a bunch of recipe cards in this booklet that Reeves made for you. She's got the real recipes with the pictures and the detailed methods, and then behind those, she's got cards that you can cut out. They look just like this. Here are 4 cards. Cut them out, paste them on your fridge. We do it on the inside of the pantry door. That's our go-to glance spot. And you only need 12 cards. Great, that's more than enough without overwhelming you, because as soon as you get to 15, 20, you're gonna look like the inside of our pantry door. It can also hinder your progress because now you've got too many options. You've picked 12 recipes. Tell us what to do with them and what you envisioned when you made this guide.
I envision all 12 being up. Ideally, you would already have the ingredients for everything on hand, but you would glance at one like, ooh, that sounds good. I wanna try that tonight. I have the ingredients to make that. Oh, and I can make that in 20 minutes or less, which is the recipes I picked for this are really fast.
Ask your family. You can say, hey, are we gonna have samosa taquitos for dinner or stuffed pepper soup? Call it out, folks. I don't even recommend changing this up, but once a month. 2 months after that, go back to the old one that you did 2 months earlier. If you're really all about simple and you're not the foodie type that wants to be making recipe book recipes every single day, then I think it's very unlikely that you're gonna get sick of these recipes.
I mean, think about it. You could drive to Taco Bell, look at the menu and pick out what you want, or you could go to the back of your door, look at that menu and pick out what you want from these 12.
There you go.
We've simplified it. We've made it that easy. Some of the recipes in here, like our famous potato corn chowder, that is so good. It tastes like it took 2 hours to make. You can make that in 10 minutes. That's faster than I can get into my car, go to the Taco Bell that's literally across the street, and come back home. Tip number 3 is to watch our YouTube videos. And I'm not just saying that because I'm full of myself. We got 100K plus. No, I'm saying watch our YouTube videos to get ideas for new recipes to put in your new dozen rotating. Or join our Facebook group. People are always posting their meals all the time. And even I get inspiration. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. I used to make that all the time. I do like that. I'm putting that back into my rotation because I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to tip number 1, which is figuring out what you actually like. Watching more YouTube videos from time to time. You're in the middle of your plan, okay? You're doing your plan. It's still good to watch some new videos so that you can throw some new things in for your next plan.
Most of our recipe videos are under 10 minutes long. If you want to see the long form version of our cooking because you're new, I would say join our cooking show. We actually spend a good hour to 90 minutes going through and making all the recipes if you need to see that detailed version.
Plus we talk about modifications. We have the community in there riffing on all the different things we're doing and what's going on in their lives. It's really fun.
But YouTube, we go over the whole recipe, but it's edited down so that it doesn't take too much of your time. You can watch in 10 minutes how to put together a meal.
Tip number 4 is to replay the hits over and over and over. Find the really simple ones that are just have become platinum albums for you and just do them over and over and over. For us, it's our Instant Pot ziti. It's Starch Blaster. It's the Charo Beans and Pico, the Red Lentil Dal and Rice.
In the Facebook group, it's Cold Cannon Soup.
Find the ones that are your hits and just really do those over and over. Don't be afraid to put them in every single month, right? You don't have to have a completely different plan every month. If you get bored of something, you need to do a little rotation from time to time. The reason this is an important tip, I think, is because it helps you to lower your standards. We are so used to needing a mouthgasm in every bite, and I think that what we really need to do is find a level of good enough for eating. What is the food that's going to allow you to achieve your health, taste good enough to get you on to the next thing that you're going to do that day, and just be satisfied? Why do we have to have our minds blown at every meal? Stop feeling ashamed about it like you're somehow missing out.
You know, and that's why there are only 12 recipes in this meal rotator, and it's why I called it a meal rotator. I didn't want it to be like a meal planner that has 30 recipes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, telling you what you should eat. First of all, everyone eats a different volume of food. People are always asking me, how many servings does this make? I have no idea. I don't know what your appetite level is. I don't know what your activity level is like. You have to get used to eating leftovers or eating the same meal that you've cooked again that same week. I really think that 12 recipes is enough to go on for the entire month.
I like what you said there, Reeves, because I think a meal planner can be really problematic for people because it dictates in advance what you're supposed to eat that day. I really am much more spontaneous than that.
Tip number 5 is another fun one you can try, and it's to have theme nights. And theme nights can be really fun if you have a family with young kids. Monday could be pasta night, Tuesday could be soup night, Wednesday could be
Mexican night.
Yeah.
I mean, we make so many Mexican recipes.
Assuming you already have a narrowed down list, having a theme night can narrow it down even further. So instead of having 12 or 15 or 20 things to choose from, now you only have like 3 or 4. Oh, it's soup night. Do you want this soup or this soup?
I think that can be really helpful. It clashes with what I was saying about spontaneity, but everybody's different. Remember, you don't have to do all of these tips. If it helps you to actually have a narrower decision, then focus on a theme that you know you're gonna like that whole theme. Now you just gotta pick something within the theme. And that can really help people just to narrow it down and take even more thought out of the equation.
I think this is going to be super helpful for families that have a lot of input coming in, because when you have this person voting on this and this person voting on this, a theme night can narrow it down so the whole family is on board.
And the last tip, number 6, is to have your most important ingredients batch prepped. Now, I'm not saying that you should necessarily have all of the meals pre-made. I'm saying to have your base ingredients ready, like your brown rice pre-cooked in the fridge, your potatoes steamed in the Instant Pot or on the stove or whatever in the fridge, ready to make like wedge potato fries or anything that you might do potatoes with. The basic core ingredients, you could whip those up. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm not the type of person that's going to dedicate a whole day to doing recipe batch for a couple reasons. One is, it's not that I don't like leftovers. I really like the hot, fresh food in the pot. I can't explain it. It's just who I am. I know it about myself, so now I can plan for that. That's one reason. The other is, again, I'm too spontaneous. For me to say that every Sunday I'm gonna do this thing that's very organized, unfortunately, I'm just not organized enough for that. Kudos to all of those who were watching this that are and can do a whole day of batch prep and have all of your food ready. That is very commendable and also quite rare, I think, for most people to adhere to that in the long term. Some people can do it for a little while, but it is really hard to do that week in, week out. So I think a compromise on that idea would be to at least batch prep your main ingredients so that you're saving a little bit more time. Rice takes 30 minutes plus to make.
Yeah.
If you've got it in the fridge ready to go, it's gonna make it easier for you to adhere to your recipe cards and actually eat the food.
What this might also mean for some people that don't have access to some of these convenience items like frozen onion, canned beans with no salt, frozen bell pepper, frozen rice, is spending the time when you have it batching those things for the freezer so that when you don't have the time, you can grab and go just like everyone else can.
Plus, it's going to be cheaper for you if you have access to raw ingredients. Some people are growing their own raw ingredients, which is awesome, and then you can just prep them, save the most amount of money. These are just tips, you know, you don't have to do them all, but they're things to consider that you might not have thought of.
Right.
And I know that there's a lot of content in this video, watch it a few times, but this is like the core, most important concept, I feel like, to really adhering to this diet in the long term, is this recipe amnesia idea. It's the thing that hits us as veterans to this way of eating the most often. If any of you newbies are watching, if you can start to ingrain this content, you're gonna be more advanced more quickly, because this is thinking deeper into this way of eating than just watching simple recipe videos and trying to do a plant-based diet. You gotta start to beat the brain.
Still, what about a bonus tip?
You got a bonus tip for us? Give us that bonus.
If you're pressed for time and you don't know what to make, check out Well Your World products, especially the cheese sauce. You can make mac and cheese in 5-minute flat.
And our marinara, you can make pasta and sauce like so fast. Our products really do save time. We created them for us to save time.
Yep.
And when we figured it out, we made them available to you. And sure enough, everybody keeps coming back and buying them, so they're obviously working. And join our cooking show. Such an awesome community. We're here giving this information away, and if you want to support us, those are the best ways to do it. Buy our products, try out our cookbooks, our cooking show. We love you. And to start with, go right down and download this meal rotator plan with the recipes and the recipe cards. Print it out, cut it up, play with this idea, make your own recipe cards too. But this is a free guide Reeves put together, and I think it's really helpful. We love to hear your feedback. Give us a comment, send us an email, what have you, and tell us what you think.
Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to click here for our recipe videos to start trying out some quick, easy meals.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.